We welcome Dr. David Shockley as our speaker today. Dr. Shockley is a native of Martinsville, and his parents, Russell and Chloe Shockley, live in Collinsville. His children are Brendan and Tristan. Dr. Shockley is currently the president of Surrey Community College in Dobson, North Carolina. He previously held positions at Caldwell Community College. He received his Doctor of Education from NC State University, go Pack, majoring in leadership and adult community college education. He has received numerous awards and honors and recognitions, including the Patrick Henry Community College Distinguished Alumni Award in 2019. He enjoys coaching, weight training, martial arts, and classic car restoration. Thank you for being with us today, Dr. Shockley.
It's a distinct pleasure to be here with you today. We had some quotes earlier by Nelson Mandela, and as I was actually coming across the mountain through Stuart, Virginia, and right down 58, and traveling roads that I traveled many, many times over the past years and growing up, Nelson Mandela said, sometimes in life you have to go back to where you started to know how far you've come. And for me today, it's been a very special time, and when I was asked to speak, I jumped on the opportunity because this place is very, very special to me. It's who I am. This region, Martinsville and Henry County. I did grow up in Collinsville, Virginia. Had a wonderful childhood and would not take anything for that. Wonderful parents, grew up middle class, and the economy was booming in this community. And life was good, and I wouldn't change those childhood memories for nothing, as they helped make me who I am. I attended college right here at Patrick Henry Community College, and before that I went to Philadelphia Collinsville High School, which was the Cavaliers at the time. It's now been migrated, and it's heresy because the Bengals and the Cavaliers, that just does not go together, and I don't care if you put blue and orange together, it still does not work. But it was during that time at Philadelphia Collinsville, my senior year, and I was sharing a story with Rhonda, who was actually in high school band at Philadelphia Collinsville with me, and y'all know her as Rhonda Hodges. And we were in band together. We went to Ireland together, for goodness sakes. And that was an experience that helped formulate who I am today. But looking back on those memories, March 15th, my best friend, Bo Walker, told me that he did not, I wanted to go to eat at Burger King. Now back then, Burger King was the place to be. And so he said, I can't go because I'm going to the Marine Corps recruiters to tell him I'm not going into the Marine Corps. So I told him I'd ride with him. And so for the young people in here, there's defining moments in your life. And what I'm getting ready to describe to you is one of those defining moments in the early part of my career that defined my career. It was going with a friend to Burger King with a detour to tell a Marine Corps recruiter that he wasn't going in. And so I sat there on the couch and watched this dance between the recruiter and Bo, trying to get up the courage to tell him I'm not going. And I piped up. And it was a defining moment from the couch, and I said, if I chose to go into the reserves, would I have to go into active duty? And asked him all these options. I said, don't lie, tell me the truth. Everybody says you all lie. If there's any Marine Corps recruiters or past recruiters, I'm sorry, but you do get it in writing. And so he said, no, if you want to do that, that is possible. And I said, and if I liked it, I could go active duty, absolutely. And so I said, I think that I'll give that a try. Because at that point in time, in that defining moment, what I really wanted in this life was Marine Corps boot camp. I didn't want the rest of it, to be honest with you, but I wanted Marine Corps boot camp because that was the hardest thing that I could think of that I could do at that point in time to prove to myself one point, that I could do something on my own and that I could be successful. And my logic at 17 years old at that time was that if I could do that, then I could do anything. Defining moment in my life. And so I go on to My parents have to sign. My mom did not want to sign. My dad convinced her that I would be okay, and it was probably a good thing for me to grow up and mature a little bit. And so I go through my active duty requirement. I go to Paris Island on October the 15th. And at that point, I thought, what in the world were you thinking? Defining moments, though. Defining moments, because on that same day, as I was reporting to the active duty, my mom looked at me in the driveway and said, son, if you quit this, you will quit everything the rest of your life. And I've never forgotten that. And I've never, ever forgotten that. And so I didn't quit. Saw it all the way through, graduated Marine Corps boot camp, did very, very well, and then I had to go to Camp Lejeune. It used to be Lejeune, and now I understand it might be Lejeune, but the family says it's Lejeune, and changed it. And so April 1st, 1987, so we fast forward. I drive home and I'm discharged from active duty from the Marine Corps, and I'm now in the reserves and report to Roanoke, Virginia for my service duty. And changed. I had discipline now. And it had accomplished, my goal was accomplished. I actually believed I could do something significant. That's a defining moment there. I wanted to see if I could do it. Now I've done it. And so we'll keep that theme for you, for the young students that are here. And so April Fool's Day, I drive back from Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I arrive home at 308 Susan Drive, Collinsville, Virginia. And my mother, who was a public school teacher for the Henry County Public Schools, said, it's good to see you, son. You've got class tonight. And I'm like, what do you mean I have class tonight? Now remember, it's April 1st, April Fool's Day. She said, your sister Kim, and it's not the first time Kim would get involved in my life and intervening and messing things up, but she said Kim, who has also attended Patrick Henry Community College, and my older sister Renee, all three of the Shockley children came to Patrick Henry Community College, said Kim went over and enrolled you in class. Now we were in quarters back then, and she said you need to go to class. My first instinct, I'm not going to class. I'm a Marine, by gosh, I'll do what I want to. I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof. But Mom said you need to go to class. And so that night, after being charged from active duty, I came to class, and I was right over there in the tennis courts. It was a tennis class, so it wasn't a bad class. PE requirement. But nonetheless, I came to class. And that's where I started my collegiate career at Patrick Henry Community College. And at that time, there's some of you that are in these rooms, and Dr. Godwin and I talked about this, and this is the same message I give my students all the time. I have been at some of the best universities in the world and have had degrees. I have had degrees from Appalachian State University. I've had degrees from North Carolina State University. I've had continuing education classes at UNC Chapel Hill, and so on and so on. I've had training from professors from Harvard University, Stanford University, and worked side by side designing curriculum from Stanford University. Some of the finest institutions in the world. But if you ask me to rate my top 5 instructors, 3 of those existed at Patrick Henry Community College. This is not less than. Your education at Patrick Henry Community College is not less than any of those. And when you're your age, and I'm looking around the room at some of the scholarship recipients, it's easy to feel like you're getting left behind in this world. It's easy to feel that way. But you've got to learn to have defining moments, and you've got to look farther down the road than day-to-day life. You've got to deal with day-to-day life, and you've got to get up every day and commit to yourself that you're going to do the very best you can at whatever task you have to do that day. And the next day you get up, you rinse, recycle, and repeat, and do it again. But you got to look down the road. And it's easy when you hear friends that are going off to UVA, Virginia Tech, Radford, and so on, and you're stuck here. and I use that word stuck here, to feel like you're behind. But you're not. You're not. The classes and the rigor do not change. You're actually ahead in your educational instruction because the classes are smaller. And because you're here, they care. You will get to know your instructors, and they will get to know you. When you go on to a university, sometimes in gen ed classes that you're taking here, you might be in a classroom of 300 or 400 people in an auditorium. And that instructor really doesn't care if you're there. Furthermore, they're not even going to be there in a lot of cases. It's going to be a grad assistant that's getting paid to be there. That's just the way it is in higher ed in the world for most universities. So you are getting your fundamentals and your base root instruction that will carry you through for successful education right here at Patrick Henry Community College, and you are saving thousands and thousands of dollars along the way. You're getting the best bargain. If I wanted to sell you a Toyota Camry, 2020, brand new, would you go to Blacksburg, Virginia and pay $20,000 more for it if you could buy it right here in Martinsville for $20,000 less? Would you? Absolutely not. That's absurd. It's the same thing. You're not receiving less than, but I get it. It's easy to feel that way. But if you look down the road, you're financially ahead, and your learning experience is going to put you ahead. I went through a lot of the same things that traditional students do. When I came time to register for my next semester, and I did it myself and made Kim stay out of it and stay at home, I remember placement test, I had placed college ready for math. Thank goodness for an advisor here at Patrick Henry Community College that said, how long has it been since you've had math? I see you've been in the military and this. And I said, well, you know, it's probably my junior year because my senior year I took off pretty much. My mom was proud of the straight A's until she looked at the classes I took. And she's like, wait a minute, what happened to the rigor? Like, it's all about fun at that time, Mom. But that instructor advised me to take a developmental math with my college math. That was a defining moment, and it happened right here at Patrick Henry Community College. And I dwell on the experiences and the base roots, and I teach our students that I've taught with and worked with at Caldwell Community College for 16 years and now Surrey Community College for the past 8 years. And I dwell upon the lessons that I learned right here on these grounds 33 years ago. So I want to dispel that what you're participating is less. It's not. I also want you to dwell on those defining moments in life, because I can think of defining moments that have occurred in my life that if you take the right way, it will yield so many blessings in your life that you cannot imagine. The key is, though, is you have to make sure that you're always doing productive things. Now, I get through Patrick Henry Community College and it's time to transfer. And I remember it was actually a brick mason that I worked for part-time here in Martinsville and Henry County, a gentleman named Greg Waldron, who actually got me to go on to college, a brick mason. Because I was thinking to myself, with my newfound confidence and my success at Patrick Henry Community College, I actually found a letter that Max Winget wrote me, inviting me to Phi Theta Kappa, and I was like, wow. Because I always felt bad that I didn't see that through when I addressed the Phi Theta Kappa students. And they made me an honorary member last year, and I was proud of that. And I said, but I earned it because I have a letter from Max Winget that told me so. But the point of it is, I wasn't sure. I was like, it's one thing right here at Patrick Henry. It's another thing to go on to a university. And I went on to Appalachian State University, which was the right university for me. But I wasn't sure I was going to go because I wasn't sure that I could do it. And it was on a job site, and he says, you seem to be preoccupied and troubled today. And he says, what's wrong? I said, I'm not sure I want to go. Tears. in that defining moment. I remember getting emotional about it, and I said, I don't know that I can do it. And Greg Waldron, and some of you may know him, but he looked at me and said, well, don't you owe it to yourself to try? Don't you owe it to yourself to try? And he says, I'll tell you what, why don't you go give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, then come back. You're one of the best employees I've ever had. I will teach you this business, and I will give you the same opportunity that I had. You can buy into the business gradually, and as we keep making money, when I retire and walk away, it's yours. And you can run your own brick mason company. That encouragement from someone who did not go to college, that cared enough about me, gave me a safety net. Go try. You owe it to yourself to try. And when I got to Appalachian State University, some of you in this room, and Letitia asked me to mention that because she read an article that was written about me in the past, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But going back to those defining moments, what was my early driving force was fear of being a failure or fear of being a nobody. I did not have, when I set out from Patrick Henry Community College in August of 1988, to be a community college president. In fact, I'm in front of I.G. Greer Hall, which was their student services at the day, lost, following around a grad student with a sign, follow me. We go through orientation, and I remember looking, we go into Farthing Auditorium, and the dean of students at Appalachian State, I remember this comment, defining moments. He said, look to your right, look to your left. One of you are not going to be here come fall, at the end of this fall. Students, that's a sad stat that I report in America. That's a sad stat, because never has there been more opportunities for you to be successful in achieving a higher education or credential. These foundation donors that are all throughout these rooms, out this room, that have invested in you, are giving you that opportunity right here and today. Don't squander it. Don't waste it. Like I said, get up every day, do your best, get up the next day and improve. And when you fall, get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. So I did that through Appalachian State, but in front of I.G. Greer, they started naming careers. This is not the way I would advise to launch a career. They were like, do you want to do this? Nope. Do that? Absolutely not. What about this and this and this and this? It's like, nope, 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 nope. And they're like, my gosh, kid, why are you here? But then she said electronics. And what about electronics and computers? Now you got to remember, this was in 1988. And I said, they say that's going to be big one day, so why not? I think I can adapt to that. So I went a technical route. And luckily, I took to electronics like a duck to water, computer science minor that was brutal. It was brutal, but I stuck it through. I persisted. And that's a defining moment in my life. I persisted, and Dr. Picarig's like, if you promise that you'll never tell anybody you minor from this program, I'll give you a B just to go. Like, I promise. Some of that's partially true. But I worked, and I saw it through. I had no idea what I wanted to do. But then I stayed on for a master's degree because the economy, I graduated in 91. And for those of you that were living, the economy crashed. I could not buy a job. And I was like, wow. In fact, you want to know what I did for a career? After graduating with then going on and completing a master's degree, I came home to Martinsville, Virginia, and remodeled the Wendy's restaurants that you see, third shift. And that's what I did for 6 months. And I remember thinking, boy, why did I go through all of that to do this? Sometimes life deals you blows, but what do? You get up and you keep moving forward. You persist. That's what you're going to have to do to be successful. what we have come to know, why do 50% of Americans who begin a higher educational credential not complete it, is because of persistence. And I define persistence as commitment. Do you want it bad enough? When it comes time to go to class, if you're going to miss class, I tell the students at Surrey Community College, and I tell you, because I care very deeply about this community and this college, make sure it is darn well worth it. Make sure it's worth the price of losing that instruction, losing that potential to be able to move forward into your life and enjoy a lot of blessings that come through higher education and so on. But don't make the mistake that thinking that a degree is your pathway to success. Guess where my doctorate degree still resides to this day? In the closet at my house. I value it. I value the accomplishment. But I refuse to see culturally what I see so many people do is wear that on their shoulder and say, call me doctor. I am Dr. So-and-so and so-and-so and this and this and this. So I leave it in the closet. It's symbolic for me. I'm very, very proud of that accomplishment, coming from where my roots are, but that doesn't define who I am. The experiences in life, the ups and downs, the trials will define your life more so than successes. It's easy when you're successful. It's tough when you're challenged. So when you're challenged, and you will be challenged in college because it is college, don't give up. Make sure that you persist. Make sure that you're committed. And make sure that you earn this opportunity that these individuals have given you. And I promise you, you won't regret it. It will open up doors for you. I can remember thinking when I finally had a career goal, that I wanted to go to work for Secor. It was a fiber optic cabling company in Hickory, North Carolina, where I lived. It was sort of like the DuPont back in the day of Martinsville. If you got onto DuPont, it's like winning the lottery. It was life-changing. I wanted to be a computer information systems technician there and be able to get in and launch my career from there and maybe get into management. That was my goal. Life didn't work that way. And so I went to prison. Literally, I worked in prison. And that was part of my career progression. My first job in my career was back at Appalachian State University in their computer management services. And then I took a promotion in the state and literally went to work for a prison, doing the same type work. That was the most miserable 2 years of my life. It really was. But when I look back in retrospect, it may have been 2 of the most important years because I learned more about who David Shockley was than at probably any other time and prepared me for the future steps to come ahead. Still wanting to go to Secor, and it didn't work that way, and I went to Caldwell Community College as a computer information systems technician. And the rest, I was able to climb through the ranks. There's not a part of a community college that I don't have boots on the ground experience, and I'm very, very proud of that. I'm talking from facilities to student services to purchasing to academics to instruction to executive leadership to president of the college. And I've been able to accomplish all of that with a lot of help from a lot of individuals, family and support. But this is an academia trail, and it would not have been possible if it had not been for Patrick Henry Community College and giving me those base foundation to carry me through all of those experiences. If you take Patrick Henry Community College, I would hope that I'd be the best brick mason in this region. and the best company. Because whatever you do in this life, do it right and be the best at it. And if you're not the best, you strive to be the best at it. I don't care what it is. You commit to it. So right now, you're students. Be the best student you can be. Now I'd like to turn my time over to the donors that are here. It's tough when you're in a rural area to be able to make things, to make ends meet with the state resources that you have. And with the state resources that you have, whether it's in Virginia or North Carolina, you get the same as everybody else. So how do you bridge the difference? It is through foundations and it's donors like yourself. You are given children opportunities to be able to live the American dream. I have lived the American dream because of people that helped me along the way. On behalf of Patrick Henry Community College, thank you. On behalf of the community that I grew up in and that I love, thank you for doing that. Because you make the difference in doing special things that Dr. Godwin and her staff could not do if you did not provide those extra resources. And I have seen that time and time again. Just because you're smaller does not mean that you're less than any community college in this nation. It just means you got to work harder. It means you got to be more resourceful. It means that you have to do it better than the rest. And without your support for these students and without your support to this college, I promise you it cannot be as successful as it is and or as it will be tomorrow in changing lives. And when you change the lives of one individual, just as I instructed the students, stop looking at today and tomorrow. But these students that you're helping are going to have children one day. And the fact that they achieve a higher education credential multiplies statistically that their children will achieve the same. And so by giving the donations and the support to these students that you are today, you're not only changing their lives, but you're changing many, many generations down the road. And rural communities are going to have that support. Rural communities cannot make it. It is tough, and it's going to get tougher. We were having that conversation. When you look, there is a shift back to urban. It will come back. The grass is always greener. And when you tend to grow up in a small town, you tend to gravitate back to your roots at a later point in time. But I get it. I get it. So, we're in the fight for our lives right now. And we're facing a lot of social economic issues in rural America. It's not only rural Patrick and Henry counties or Surrey and Yadkin counties where I serve. It's all over. Dealing with the prescription drugs, the opiates, it breaks your heart. That's fairly new. Dealing with the socioeconomics, with our business and industries increasingly going to the urban areas, it breaks your heart. So your support in bridging that gap, in supporting education, which is not, it is the pathway, but remember, it's not the answer. You still have to do something with that. You just cannot get a degree and say, I've arrived, pay me. You still have to do the work along the way. But I do appreciate the foundation and the work that you do to support this community college and for all the support that you give, because I can promise you, being a recipient of aid in the past and or to continue education and or trying to administer to change lives, we cannot do it without you. Thank you so much for allowing me to come back here today. It's been a special day for me. To the students, remember, if you're not going to go to class or finish your education, make darn well sure that what you're giving it up for is worth it, and that you're looking down the road and not just today at the here and now. Thank you so much.
Dr. Shockley, thank you for taking the trip down 103 and 58 to come back home again. Your message was pointing to all of us here, just not the students, but to everyone in the room. If you would, I'd ask you to come back up. Thank you. A little something. Appreciate it. Thank you. It's been a great day today. Like Tiffany said earlier, this is a heck of a crowd. I was talking to one of the students a while ago and told her that, you know, we normally have a very sizable crowd for this, but everyone's squeezed in this year, so we can get more people in here, and that's great. I'd like to thank the Foundation Scholarship Committee that's chaired by Carolyn Schuff. They do a fantastic job throughout the year in selecting the scholarship recipients. As Dr. Shockley said, you know, all this is possible because of the donors. And thank you so much for your support of the students here at Patrick Henry and also of the college itself. And the reason we're here is because of the recipients. And we congratulate all of you, and we wish you the absolute very best success as you go forward in life. I appreciate all of you attending today. This concludes our program, and hope to see all of you next year.